Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the 5 things that allow me to run my social media marketing agency straight from home. It's all be done completely online, completely remotely as well, and completely from the comfort of my home. In this video I'm going to be sharing with you the 5 keys that you need to implement to make sure that this is the case, to make sure that you can run your agency both from your home or if you want from Bali or from Thailand or wherever you want to be. Bottom line is having that location and time freedom so that you can run your agency remotely and you can travel the world if that's what you want to do. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The first thing is picking an in-demand online skill. Look, it's very important that you get those 2 components on point. Yes, we want an in-demand service, but we also want it to be online, right? We want the nature of that service to be completely online so that the client understands why we don't have to be physically present to deliver the service. But if, for example, you've picked something that is in demand, but requires physical presence, for example, content creation, or for example, I don't know, event management, something like that, right? Where you need to physically be present or a team member needs to be physically present, then you're not going to be able to work as remotely as with a marketing agency that delivers Facebook ads, right? And so very important that you have those 2 components in place. Number 1, in demand. So for example, SEO, Google ads, Facebook ads, which I truly vouch for. I don't know, TikTok ads, right? Snapchat ads, whatever it is. Ideally a revenue driven service and also completely online, right? So for example, social media management, that is also an online service. Although it's not technically revenue driven, it will allow you to work completely remotely because you don't have to be physically present to run some social media accounts, right? And so that is the first thing that you want to keep in mind. Second thing is client meetings via Zoom. And so all my client meetings, all my sales calls, I always take them via Zoom. Even if the client is in my city, I would not physically meet with them. It's honestly a waste of time. The time that I'm going to take to commute to the client might be around 15, 20, 30 minutes. The time that I have to commute back might be another 30 minutes. And so that's just already an hour wasted of my time. It's going to distract me. It's going to just break my workflow and my workday. And it's honestly going to do a lot more harm than good. Now, I do understand that there is definitely an advantage to that physical component, but if you just get good with Zoom and you honestly get used to that environment, those honestly outweigh the cons of Zoom. And so that is where I recommend just have all your client meetings on Zoom. One of the ways that you can mitigate that physical component is just make sure that you have video calls. I found them to be just much more powerful when it comes to closing sales. And so do make sure that you have that video component and make sure that the client on their side also has that, but you don't have to physically meet with the client to close them. And that is also a big limited belief or big misconception that I've seen other people have, is they think that in order to close a client, they have to meet with them. And honestly, in my whole SMA journey, and at this point, I've reached out to thousands of prospects. I've only had 2 prospects who were actually quite far into the conversation, but they would not go forward without meeting personally. And the deal fell through. And more than that, it was the fact that I just knew that it wasn't a good fit, because if they weren't able to move forward without us meeting in person, then they would obviously not be fine with the type of communication and reporting ecosystem that I've built at my agency, so that we're completely remote and that we actually have the time to put into getting the results and not just commuting back and forth and wasting a bunch of time. And so that is the second thing that I want you guys to keep in mind. Have all your client meetings or your sales calls on Zoom. And that actually leads me to the third point, which is setting expectations in terms of communication and reporting. You want to make sure that your clients know that your communication channels are going to be completely online, right? They're not going to require any physical presence. If you're doing local business, for example, they don't expect you to, I don't know, go to their gym or the restaurant to have a team meeting with them. There's no physical component, and you want to make sure that they know that from the start, right? So that the expectations are very clear. The way I go about this for my agency is I've got Slack, which is my main communication channel, and there's no other communication channel that I tap into. All my communication stays on Slack. And the second thing is Zoom, right? And so we'll have our monthly performance goals. A lot of clients, it'll be bi-monthly. We'll also have our strategy sessions. We'll have a bunch of other touch points with clients. For example, new initiative calls with our clients if we're launching a big campaign or a new marketing initiative, and we just want to make sure that all the areas, all the components of the business, of the e-commerce business, is just working congruently and working in unison. For example, the email marketing, the content, the backend, the logistics, all that stuff, which really sets my agency apart from a lot of agencies that just look at e-commerce growth and business growth from a purely marketing lens, from a purely paid ads lens, right? And we want to make sure that we have taken a look at everything. We've actually integrated everything and coordinated everything, all the moving components in an e-commerce business, to make sure that our campaigns are just going to be a home run from front end to back end. But I digress. That is the way I set up communication for my clients. We've got Zoom and we've got Slack, and there's no in between, right? Those are the only communication platforms that we tap into. And also internally for my team, I've got my team calls all on Zoom, and I communicate with them on Slack and also on the project management tool, which I will leave down below in the description. You guys can check it out. It's one of the links down below. So that is the third point that I want you guys to keep in mind. Set the right expectations for reporting and communication, and make it very clear to them that there's no physical component to it unless you actually want to, right? There's a bunch of agency owners that do want to for some reason. I don't personally understand it because I love working remotely. I love taking a vacation or a trip whenever I want. But hey ho, if that's the case, that's the case. Fourth thing is taking payments, right? And so very, very simple concept, but just take payments with Stripe or PayPal. I've actually had one case very, very recently, actually. A client of ours, their accounts payable department had a fraudulent activity. And so they basically had to send me a physical check. I think it will be arriving quite soon, actually. That's really the only case where I've accepted any type of physical payment, right? And even then, they're still sending it to me, right? And so there's no physical component involved. But yeah, you want to take payments with Stripe or PayPal. Those are the payment processors that you are going to be using to run your agency. They're honestly effortless. Stripe by far being the best. I recommend that you guys use those to really have a remote agency. Final thing is e-contracts. You want to have your clients signed to an e-contract. You basically want to have an e-signature in place, right? You don't want to be meeting up and signing contracts physically. That's just honestly a waste of time. Again, that is a recurrent thing, but you just want to make sure that you are putting all the time that you've got in the day to, first of all, signing more clients, growing your agency, and providing results for clients, right? You don't want to be communicating back and forth, which is just honestly tedious, right? And also you want to be enjoying your life, maybe meeting up with friends or enjoying the money that you're making, but physically meeting up with clients, especially the ones that are not prospects, the ones that have already said yes to your service, is honestly a waste of time because you guys could have done that completely electronically and there's really no need to meet physically. And so for that, to mitigate that problem, just have e-signatures in place. Just have them signed to an e-contract, right? There's a ton of softwares that you can use for this. But yeah, guys, that is the way I recommend you do things if you want to run a marketing agency, a social media marketing agency that is completely remote, that you can work from home, where you can travel the world, where you can be in Bali chilling and still have just a very profitable, insanely cash flow positive agency running. And not have that physical component. If you do want to have that physical component, that is completely up to you, but that's honestly not the type of agency that I personally like to run. I'm extremely happy with the type of operations and remote structure that I've currently have with my agency, and I hope this inspired you to maybe make a change and added value to your agency life. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like. It really helps out a ton with the algorithm. We really appreciate it. Also, leave down below any comments, any questions you may have on this video. We'll be checking those out. If you haven't joined the free Facebook private mentorship community, the client closes, there's a link in bio. Honestly, it's an incredible community and you can apply with the link in bio. And also guys, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, there's so much content coming out on entrepreneurship, a 360 approach to SMMA with a specific focus on sales and outreach, which is really the biggest roadblock that I see agency owners have. And so if you don't want to miss any of that, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And as always, hope everything's going well in your agency journey. Hope you and your family are safe in this turbulent time. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.